Hey everyone, welcome back to the coaching call. I'm Coach Mike. Got several velocity-based training questions up, so I'm going to kind of roll those all into one. The first question says, I see that you sometimes use a gym wear to measure velocity. How do you use this information? I own an open barbell, and I track the velocity of the last rep in each set. I don't rely on it 100% for determining my RPE, but I use it to help me. How would you recommend that I use it? So let's start there. That's right, I do use a GymAware. I've used some sort of velocity-based training or some sort of velocity measure rather, in my training for kind of a long time, since 2009 or so. I think that you're going about it the right way in general, that you use it to influence your RPE rating. Don't let it overwhelm your RPE rating. So when you finish a set, you still make your subjective assessment of how it felt to you. You assess your performance. And then other tools come into play. Video, velocity if you have access to it. Those things can influence your RPE a little bit. So if you put the bar down and you say it was a 9 RPE, and you look at the velocity and the velocity was very fast, you may adjust it a half a point. I wouldn't adjust it more than that. I would rely predominantly on your subjective assessment and then use the velocity to tweak that assessment. You can start, as you collect more data, you will be able to do more things like develop velocity charts and things like that. But really, in order to do that, we need to know how low you can go, really. We need to know your velocity at 1 rep max. Everyone, their velocity at 1 rep max is a little bit different. So people that can grind very slow reps, that affects their RPE and the rep speed at lower RPEs as well, as I'm sure you can imagine. And then people that are fast or not at all, their velocity at 1 rep max is still pretty high. Obviously, their RPE at lower, or their velocity at lower RPEs is going to be high as well. Another question to go along with these, I've talked to one other person who is only doing velocity-based training. He's using a drop in velocity to determine the volume of the workout. And I found this interesting. Do you have any experience with that? Yes, I do. That's very similar to fatigue percentages that we used to use in RTS. The idea is that as the lifter fatigues, the performance degrades. And by measuring that performance degrade, you get an insight into how much fatigue is the athlete accumulating, and you can auto-regulate the training volume based on that. And it's a really cool idea, but I tried it and I did it myself for a number of years, and we used it and it was successful. But the problem was, I think it's overfitting a little bit. The focus of that method is on recovering from this workout before the next workout. It's on managing that level of recovery, and I don't think that's so important. As long as you're recovering in a week or even more so in a month, I think that's the most important thing. Recovering from one workout to the next turns out not to be all that critical. We see this all the time. We have people bench, say, 4 times a week. Some of those sessions are going to be back-to-back sessions. That doesn't make them less effective. It just means that you're still carrying a bit of fatigue, probably, from the previous session. And that may affect your performance, but it doesn't affect the overall outcome. It's still a net positive. So I don't think you need to be fully recovered between training sessions. And because I believe that, I think that doing direct fatigue measurement like that, it's interesting, but it introduces a complication to the training process that we really don't need. And then the email finishes up by saying, I know that this is an off question since not many people have access to velocity-based training, but it would be nice to know how to use it. I think it's an interesting question, and I'm glad you asked. Velocity-based training is really cool, and it's becoming a lot more popular because it's becoming more accessible. If you're interested in getting into velocity-based training, you need to get a good unit. You need a unit that is reliable over all things. Accuracy is nice, or having, I suppose precision is the correct term, but precision in the measurement is nice. But consistency, that, if you do a repetition at some theoretical velocity, that the output on the device is consistent. That's the most desirable thing. And it's not as easy to find, and it's not as common as you might think. And my understanding is that the open barbell system is a very good system to use. Other systems that are more accelerometer based, in my experience, have not been valuable. I think they're great ideas, but I just haven't seen the technology being where it needs to be yet. Hopefully that changes sometime soon, but as these devices become more common and the price point gets lower and more of us can use them, that will be more and more important.